So we have all done it. We have all shared a story online, on social media, or to our email list, or got up on stage and shared something personal. And afterwards, we have had this kind of impending sense of doom, like, oh my goodness, what have I done? I have just shared too much. We're going on, we're looking at the likes. Nobody's engaging, nobody's emailing. What have I done wrong? How embarrassing. We have all done it. It's basically the kind of the writing, the storytelling equivalent of beer fear, but without the benefit of a good night out the night before. I'm Kate Butler-Ross. I am a story and writing coach for entrepreneurs, and in this video I am going to be giving you a quick little checklist to help reassure you that actually it's just your lizard brain trying to keep you safe, rather than some kind of like big alarm bell that you should be paying attention to, and you should be going in and deleting whatever it is that you've just posted. So before we get started, the first thing I want to say is, if you want to start showing up more, letting people in, being visible, and sharing your stories to create a deeper connection, and there really is no more powerful way than storytelling for creating a deeper connection with your audience and kind of being seen and growing your influence, you have got to get comfortable with being uncomfortable. Because the truth is, if you want to tell a story that is going to make people feel stuff, it's going to make them feel moved, and it's going to really deeply resonate with them, you are going to have to be prepared for the fact that for some people it's going to turn them off completely. So to turn some people on, you're going to have to turn others off, and you're going to have to get comfortable with that, because if you're vanilla, if you're trying to please everyone, you just don't get seen. So get comfortable with being uncomfortable. But once you have accepted that, and you do get used to it, you don't always feel like that. Once you've accepted that and you're confident in your message, and you're used to the fact that, some people will comment and some people won't, and some posts will get likes and some people won't, and it's absolutely no judgment on you as a person. It's just the way things go. Because, by the way, people very often view and follow everything you do, but they never like and engage, and then they become a client. That does happen. But if you have kind of agreed to get comfortable with being uncomfortable, as I've said, here is a 4-point checklist that you can go through just to make sure that, that you're okay, that you're good, that you can keep it out there, that you can show your face in public once more. So number 1, you've got to check that the story that you've shared is a scar, not a wound. Now, this is something that Elizabeth Gilbert talks about, and basically what it means is, when you share a story, you need to make sure that you are out the other side, which means that you're able to look back and, in hindsight, see what the lesson is. And that means that you are sharing value with your audience, because you are sharing a story that has a moral, has a lesson in it that you can share with them. If you are still processing something, if you are sharing the wound, if you're still working through something, what you're actually doing is you're not sharing a piece of value. You are using your audience as therapy, and it's very uncomfortable viewing and listening and reading, and it's not valuable to your audience at all. So really be careful. Are you sharing the scar, not the wound? That's number 1. Number 2, are you sharing the right story? Because not every story is going to be valuable to every audience. And you need to be really careful that you're sharing the right story in the right place. It could be the most amazing, incredible story, but shared with the wrong audience, it's just not going to land well. So just to give you an example, the story you might tell to a room full of women entrepreneurs would be very different to the story that you might share on LinkedIn, where you have a real mix of followers from different work backgrounds, and you're trying to speak to all of those people. There will be something else that is going to unify all of those things, and there will be something completely different that will unify a room full of women in business. So is it the right story? Is it valuable to that audience that you're talking to? Number 3, if there really is that niggling feeling that you have made a mistake, that you have done something wrong, that that real beer fear feeling, like, what have I done? What mistake have I made with this piece of content? Is it safe? Have I compromised myself in some way? This is when you need to check in and make sure, is this story that I have just told, in the way that I've told it, in line with my values as a person? Is it in line with my principles? Does it compromise me in any way? If the answer is, yes, it's totally in line with my values, you can tick that off and know that you are totally safe. If for some reason that it's not, maybe you have posted in anger or it has been against your better judgment, maybe you have some apologies to make, some deletions to make, or you need to rethink and learn that lesson for the future and do this checklist before you actually share the story. And finally, the final thing that you need to ask is it your story to tell? Now, the truth is, a lot of the stories we tell will involve other identifiable people in your life. And, not everybody wants to have their business dragged over social media or shared with big audiences. So you need to decide, is it my story to tell? Do I need to ask permission to share this story? And, you don't always have to ask permission, is the truth. There's nothing stopping you from sharing a story, but, do you feel like you need to ask permission to share this story? And if you don't ask permission to share this story and it's not your story to tell and there is an identifiable person in this story, are you willing to deal with the repercussions of sharing this story? By the way, it's perfectly okay to you could tweak things to kind of protect people's identities. You can do that in storytelling. You can be clear about the fact that you've done that. Newspapers and things do that all the time. But if you're not going to do that and it is not just your story to tell, are you willing to deal with the repercussions that may come from sharing this story in a public place? Once you have ticked all those 4 things off and you have got the right answers to all of them, is it scar, not a wound? Yes. Is it the right story? Yes. Is it in line with my values? Yes. Is it my story to tell? And if not, am I willing to deal with the repercussions? Yes. You know that you have posted and you can just sit back and let that story do its job out in the world. If the answer is no to any of those questions, maybe you need to go back and have a rethink. But hopefully that will put your mind at ease. So that is how to deal with the vulnerability that comes after sharing a story online or in person, in print or on stage. How to feel good about that. They are the 4 steps that you need to go through, and hopefully that's going to put your mind at ease and help you share more amazing, incredible stories with your audience to create a deeper connection with them and to grow your business and brand. I'm Kate Butler-Ross, writing and story coach for entrepreneurs. I hope you've enjoyed this video. You can find out more about me at my website, which is www.katebutlerross.com. See you again soon. Bye.